What's up everybody, and thank you for joining me for another video. My name is Xack4863, but you can call me Whack. In today's video, I'm going to go through healing as in depth as I can. Now, a lot of my other videos are still in very good shape. They still have very solid information, but they are rather old, and a few things have changed a little bit. So I thought I'd do another video since I'm getting a lot of questions about the healing system as we know it today. Now, I am not going to cover things like the healing water skin or the lifeblood spear in this. I am only going to focus on the consumables for healing. So that's going to be food, that's going to be potions, and that's going to be wraps. Now, one thing that you need to know about how I tested this and the things that I'm using in this video is I have a mod loaded on this gameplay for the reason or for the purpose of not healing at all when I have the third perk in vitality. Now, the reason for that is because it takes that out of the equation and I don't have to do the math for how much healing I'm getting from each specific item. So these are the straight results without that healing. So your results are going to vary. You are going to notice that you have more hit points than what I'm going to show you. Now, I need to thank Firespark81 for hooking me up with that mod. He made it quite some time ago for a testing video that he was doing on healing, and he hooked me up with that mod, so thank you very much. The other thing that I need to tell you is I am showing you what is on my single player game save, because the UI on multiplayer, anytime you're playing on a server, the UI for healing is not correct. So if we go into our stats page, all the effects would show up here. So I'm going to show you how this works real quick. So if I just come over here and I eat one of these and then I go into my status, it tells me I'm getting 15 points of healing every 3 seconds. However, if I do the same thing, which I have done already on my server, it actually says that I'm only getting 2 points of healing every 3 seconds. So what you really need to pay attention to is this information down here. And you'll see that that information at the bottom of the screen underneath my character is showing that I'm getting that 15 points of healing every 3 seconds, even though the UI is displaying something totally different. Now, this confuses a lot of players when it comes to healing items, or at least the food items and the sated buff, because if you're playing on a server, it's not going to tell you accurate information. And though I've showed this in videos before, Funcom still has not figured out a way to fix that or patch that properly. So let's take a look at the different wraps that we have available. We have the rough wraps, the healing wraps, the numbing wraps, the stutter wraps, and the infused wraps. As for potions, we have the weak aloe, the concentrated aloe, the pure aloe, and the infused aloe. Now, these two items heal very differently. So the wraps actually heal for a tick basis for an amount of times. So everything from the rough wraps to the stutter wraps heal for a total of 9 seconds. Now, you will find that sometimes you get a few more hit points than you do at other times. And the reason being is because you miss a tick in the middle of that and you don't get all of that healing during that amount of time. The infused wraps heal over a period of 4.29 seconds, and you will find that sometimes you miss a single tick in there as well, and you don't get all the healing. The extracts, on the other hand, are a set amount of healing, so those are more consistent with the amount of healing that you are going to get. And all of the animations for the potions are an animation of 2.29 seconds. I know you guys want me to just come straight out and be like, the best possible healing situation for you is going to be X, Y, and Z. I'm not going to do that in this video. What I'm going to do is give you all the information on all the different healing items, and then you will have the information that you need to set up your healing for your particular setup and situation. Now let's talk real quick about attribute points in the vitality category, because these will actually affect the amount of healing that you're getting from all of these healing items, all of the consumables. So let me give you an example with food because it's probably the easiest way to explain it. So I'll just look at this particular preservation box, and you can see it has two numbers, 8 to 12. The 8 represents the amount of healing per 3 seconds if you have under the 4th perk in Vitality. The 12 represents if you have the 4th perk in Vitality. So if we look at our attributes real quick, if we have 3 perks in Vitality and we were to eat something out of that preservation box, we would gain 8 hit points every 3 seconds for eating one of those items. However, if we bump that up to the 4th perk in Vitality, we would gain 12 hit points per 3 seconds. The last thing that I want to cover in the attributes is the 5th perk in Vitality. Now this is the one that's called Gluttonous Gains. Eating food now counts as a healing potion and provides a healing burst at the beginning of regeneration. Now this perk is totally not working, so don't worry about getting to that 5th perk right now. It's not working. It does not do what it says it does. And hopefully Funcom will either figure out a perk to replace that perk, or they will get that perk working in the future. So what I want to do now is go through the preservation boxes for you so that you can see what items give you what amount of hit points to your health bar. So this first one, all of the items that are in this box give you 0 points towards your vitality. The next box that I have here, all of these items are going to give you 1 point per 3 seconds when you use these items. The next box is 2 to 3 points. Again, the 2 meaning that you have under the 4th perk in Vitality, and the 3 meaning that you have the 4th perk in Vitality. And that's the way it goes for all of these as we move forward. And I am going to highlight over all of these so you can kind of see what's in here. I do want to talk real quick about the ambrosia and the purified flesh. So the ambrosia and the purified flesh will give you 3 points every 3 seconds. However, they also give you buffs when you use them. So you can see I have 0 buffs on my screen. If I eat an ambrosia here, you can see I get Mitra's Blessing. Mitra's Blessing is going to be a single point to your strength and a single point to your vitality. If we eat a purified flesh, again, it's the same amount of healing. However, it also gives you a Favor of Yogg. Now, Favor of Yogg is going to give you a single point to grit and a single point to vitality. As you can see, these actually stack. Additionally, those do stack with other buff items. So if you're using the elixirs, these are going to add 1 point on top of those elixirs. Moving on to the 4 to 6, you can see the items that we have here, and these are not real hard items to come by or not real hard things to make. These are all going to give you the 4 to 6. I know a lot of you are like, Aloe soup, how is that in the 4 to 6 category? But it absolutely is. And moving on. Just to come back to the aloe soup real quick, let's go ahead and eat one, and I will show you exactly how many points we're getting. You can see we are getting 4 points of healing every 3 seconds. Moving on to 5 to 7, you can see the items that are in here. All of those items are going to give you 5 to 7 points of healing. 6 to 9 points, all of these items will do that. 7 to 10 points, all of the items in here will give you 7 to 10 points of healing every 3 seconds. Moving on to the 8 to 12, and you can see the items here that are going to give you 8 to 12. 9 to 13 are going to be these items. 12 to 19 is a single item, the Hearty Feast. 13 to 19 are going to be these items here. I know a lot of people probably like the Lasting Feast. This is a great one because it does also fill your water or your fluids, so it'll give you that hydrated bonus, and that is in the 13 to 19 category. In the 14 to 21 category, we have the Exotic Feast and the Savory Feast. One thing to keep in mind with both of these is they do offer the warming effect as well. So if we eat one of those, you can see that we are warming up. Both of those items add that bonus or that buff to you, so you have to be careful about where you're using those items. Quite possibly my favorite, because it really is an easy recipe, is the Cooked Pork Feast, and this is going to give you 15 to 22. It is in a category of its own. This is the only item in the 15 to 22 category. And last but not least here, we have the 17 to 25 category. Now these are going to be all the religious feasts that you have in games. So the Feast of Yog, the Feast of Set, Feast of Mitra, Feast of Emir, Feast of Jebelsog, and Feast of Derketo. Now these items also give you different buffs. For example, the Feast of Jebelsog will give you underwater breathing, and so you'll want to look at all the different stats for these items when you're deciding if you want to use those for healing items. What I'm going to say about these is they are expensive to make, so probably not something that you would use on a daily basis in order to gain your sated buff at 17 to 25 points. Another thing that's important to note that you need to understand is that you cannot overwrite your sated buff. So if you have the sated buff, but you have another food that's going to give you a better sated buff, you need to wait until that sated buff runs out, or until you are injured and that sated buff goes away before eating that food. And I'll give you an example of that real quick. So I have an egg in my inventory that's going to give me 1 point of healing every 3 seconds. So if I eat that egg and we pull up my inventory and stats page, you can see 1 point of healing every 3 seconds, and you can see that is actively functioning in my character screen. If I go back out and I eat the Cooked Pork Feast, that should be giving me the 15 points of health, but since I already had the sated buff, it does not overwrite, so I continue to only get the 1 point of healing every 3 seconds. Additionally, I want to touch on the herbal tea. The herbal tea is going to give you 1 point in healing, but it doesn't work like sated does. So if I open up my inventory, because I've got to be quick with this, and I hit the use key and pop over to stats, you can see we get regeneration and regeneration. Now that's going to give you a quick burst of about 3 to 4 health points while that status effect is on there. It does not, however, affect your sated buff. Now I want to know in the comment section below, what food item are you going to choose in order to do your in-between healing? What are you going to use for your sated buff after seeing this video? Do you have a favorite in mind? The whack moments in this video were sponsored by my legendary supporters. If you'd like to become a member, you can click the button below that says join. That'll give you all the details. And if you want to continue the fun, there's 2 videos on the screen. You can pick one of those to watch next. Please don't forget to whack the like button. And if you're new to the channel, I'd encourage you to click that subscribe button, click that bell so you get notified when I upload another video.